Pawn Stars built its name on the idea that anyone could walk through a shop door in Las Vegas and walk out with a story worth millions. But the men who built that image spent the last decade fighting each other in courtrooms, jail cells, and tabloid headlines just to hold on to what the cameras showed the world. This is the real account of what happened once the show's title cards stopped rolling, pulled together from court filings, police reports, and the outlets that tracked the family long after Rick Harrison's smile disappeared from the screen. Some of it played out quietly through paperwork filed in Nevada courts, and some of it splashed across entertainment news within hours, but together it adds up to a much messier picture than the one that aired on the History Channel for over a decade. Start with Austin Russell, the cast member fans knew simply as Chumlee, because his troubles outside the shop ran the longest. Back in 2012, TMZ caught him on camera brawling with a stranger on a Hollywood street, leaving the other man bruised and bleeding before Chumlee took off. He told reporters the fight started because the stranger threatened to pull a gun on him and his friends, and that his instincts simply took over once the confrontation turned physical. That brawl looked minor compared to what came 4 years later. In 2016, police raided Chumlee's home in southwest Las Vegas while investigating a sexual assault complaint a woman had filed against him. And during that raid, officers found methamphetamine, marijuana, and a dozen firearms, 8 of which weren't registered. Chumlee was never booked on the sex crime allegation, and those charges eventually fell apart. But the drugs and guns in his house weren't going away that easily. Clark County's detention records show he ended up facing 19 separate drug possession charges plus 1 weapons charge. And rather than risk prison, he pleaded guilty to a felony weapons charge and a lesser drug possession charge just to close the case out. Rick's son Corey, the one viewers watched grow into the shop's future, had his own string of embarrassing headlines. During a motorcycle tour stop in Jefferson City, witnesses said Corey spent a week drinking heavily before things boiled over at a bar called Spectators, where he urinated in public and threw a bar stool, which got him thrown out and made local news. He later apologized publicly, but the apology barely had time to land before a new story broke in 2021. According to TMZ, Corey had rented an RV for a desert trip in California, and the vehicle's owner claimed it came back 2 days late, totaled, missing its awning, and full of broken bottles and eggs, with repair costs estimated near $30,000 and 10 canceled reservations on top of that. Corey's team brushed off the accident by saying the RV simply wasn't drivable and that insurance handled everything, and legally that was the end of it, even though the story had already done its damage to his reputation. None of that touched his private health struggles, which were arguably more serious. By 2010, his weight had reached a point doctors considered dangerous, pushing him into gastric bypass surgery that eventually helped him drop more than 100 pounds, a journey that later inspired Chumlee to start losing weight of his own. Then there's Olivia Black, who joined the shop in 2012 and became an instant favorite for her alternative style, only to be fired without any public explanation a short time later. Fans pushed hard for answers, and it eventually came out that her firing was tied to nude photos she had taken years before joining the show, photos that resurfaced online once she'd become recognizable. Plenty of viewers called the decision sexist, arguing she was punished for choices made before she ever signed on, and Olivia herself pursued legal action over the firing. Though that case was eventually dropped, she kept working in the pawn world afterward and built a modeling and adult entertainment career on her own terms, never quite vanishing from public view the way the show seemed to want. A separate scandal in 2014 had nothing to do with the cast's personal lives and everything to do with the shop's business practices. A man named David Walters filed a criminal complaint claiming his niece, Jennifer Beckman, had stolen his coin collection in 2013 and sold it straight to gold and silver pawn for just over $2,000, even though Walters valued the real collection closer to $50,000. By the time police tracked the sale back to the shop, the coins themselves were already gone, and a shop spokesperson admitted to reporters that unidentifiable coins like that often get melted down or mixed into bulk lots before anyone realizes they're stolen. The same spokesperson pushed back hard on Walters' $50,000 estimate, insisting the coins were worth far less than he claimed, and no charges were ever filed against the shop or its staff for buying them in good faith. The shop's hired experts caused their own credibility problems. Vintage toy specialist Johnny Jimenez Jr. was accused in 2015 of assaulting his girlfriend outside a Las Vegas restaurant, an incident caught on camera that he later explained away as simply trying to help her after a night of drinking. Autograph expert John Resnikoff made a different kind of mistake back in 2011, confidently identifying a signature on a Godfather script as Al Pacino's when it actually belonged to producer Al Ruddy, a small error that still made viewers wonder how many other authentications deserved a second look. The biggest hit to the show's credibility, though, came from sports memorabilia expert Drew Max in 2015, when buyers in New Jersey accused him of authenticating fake items and using his television fame to push them through auction, a fraud claim serious enough to spark a lawsuit and leave fans questioning every appraisal the show had ever aired. None of those scandals compared to what happened inside the Harrison family itself after patriarch Richard Harrison died in 2018. His widow, Joanne Harrison, eventually sued Rick in Nevada State Court, claiming that decades earlier, while she lay recovering from a coma, Rick had her sign away her 51% stake in the pawn shop without her fully understanding what she was agreeing to. When Richard died and his remaining 49% should have passed to her, Joanne said Rick never gave her proper accounting for more than $500,000 in cash and silver her husband had accumulated, and her lawsuit demanded damages, a full accounting of the business's assets, and a court order stopping Rick from touching her share of the money. Rick called the allegations false to the Las Vegas Review-Journal and suggested his 81-year-old mother was being manipulated by people around her, but the fight escalated further when Joanne filed for a temporary restraining order, claiming Rick had cut off the $225,000 payments he used to send her and was now trying to sell off family assets before she could stop him. By then, Joanne reportedly needed around-the-clock medical care that could run as much as $115,000 a month, and Rick claimed he only learned about the restraining order through news reports after months of failing to reach his own mother at all. Rick's business instincts didn't always pay off outside the shop either. He tried to expand on the show's success by opening Pawn Plaza, a retail center built near the original store, but the businesses that moved in struggled badly once the promised foot traffic never showed up, and several owners blamed Rick directly for not backing the project with real marketing, leading to closures and a string of lawsuits of its own. Around the same time, longtime viewers started noticing the show itself had changed. Items felt pre-selected, deals felt rehearsed, and the family banter that once felt spontaneous started reading like a script written around real lawsuits rather than real customers. Pawn Stars still ran for more than 2 decades and turned a single Las Vegas shop into a recognizable name worldwide, teaching plenty of casual viewers more about antiques, history, and negotiation than they ever expected to learn from a reality show. But the same decade that built that reputation also buried it under lawsuits between family members, arrests among the cast, fired employees, fraud accusations against trusted experts, and a business expansion that flopped in public. And viewership thinned out noticeably as the courtroom drama started overshadowing the items brought through the door. Whatever comes next for Rick Harrison and the shop that made him famous, the show's legacy now carries both halves of that story. The history lessons fans loved and the very real mess that played out once the cameras started catching more than just antiques, leaving behind a brand that's recognizable everywhere but a family that's still working through what fame actually cost them.